Hi guys, today we're comparing the brand new Jaguar F-PACE mid-size premium SUV with the veteran of the class and perhaps the pioneer of the class, the BMW X3. These are both the most potent diesel versions that you can get. So they both feature a 3-litre turbo diesel. Specifically, the Jaguar features a 3-litre twin-turbo diesel V6 producing 221 kilowatts and 700 newton meters of torque. That's a lot of torque. It's probably one of the most torquiest V6s in this class. And then over in the BMW we have a 3-litre straight 6 turbo diesel using a single turbo system, although it does have twin power technology, which is basically variable vane or twin vane turbo technology. It produces 190 kilowatts and 560 newton meters. Despite Jaguar's best efforts to keep the weight to a minimum, featuring a IQ-AL platform, which is a brand new platform, aluminium intensive, the Jaguar is actually a lot heavier than the X3. It's about 110 kilos heavier. However, the Jaguar is larger, so externally the dimensions are a bit bigger than the X3's. One thing's for certain, the Jaguar definitely stands out with a more stunning design, especially up against the aging X3. This is the result of Ian Callum's design language with F-type inspired taillights, a very aggressive front end and full LED headlights. We did actually have the R-Sport version of the F-PACE booked in, except when we went to pick it up it was actually the first edition, which is a special edition, so a bit of a bonus there. It comes with these huge 22-inch alloy wheels, various black highlights and some special leather wrapped seats inside. As for the poor old BMW, it's carried across the same design, or virtually the same design, since 2011. BMW introduced a facelift in 2014 which brought about these new headlights which kink down at the bottom there, but apart from that it looks pretty similar and it is starting to look a bit old. Obviously design is a subjective thing, but in my opinion the X3 doesn't really stand out on the road as well as the F-PACE anyway. BMW is planning to release the all-new X3 sometime next year, so that might look a bit more modern, have a bit more road presence. But for now the F-PACE is definitely the winner in terms of design. We'll have a look at the interiors and see how they compare. So the first thing you'll notice when you get into the Jaguar are these big chunky doors. There's really thick door skin there. But once inside it's a sporty place to be. You've got a very low profile cabin, typical Jaguar A-pillars that spear towards your forehead, giving it a sort of very low and sporty feel. We'll just start it up and have a look at this digital dash. So as we saw in our previous POV F-PACE review, the F-PACE introduces this all-new widescreen touchscreen system, various apps. That's really good. It's there's nothing really to complain about here. And then it's also got a fully digital instrument cluster. Most of the center console is carried across from vehicles like the XE and the new XF in terms of design. So you've got clean and clutter-free layout of buttons, all your climates down here, and then all your onboard entertainment is up the top. The first edition gets these specially patterned leather seats, adjustable side bolsters, and a full moonroof. There's also an Alcantara headliner trim, which is quite luxurious. I'm not really a fan of this fake sort of carbon fibre door trimming here. It matches the pattern on the seats, but it just looks quite tacky in my opinion. I'm also not really a fan of the power window buttons, which are way up here. But this is a traditional position for power window switches in Range Rovers and Land Rovers. We'll have a look at the back seat. So you've got your own climate vents. This one doesn't have the optional vents that you can get in the B-pillar as well, but you do get a 12-volt power socket and a couple of USB ports down below. Seating space is pretty good, lots of headroom, and enough leg room for an average height individual. You've also got door pockets for your drink bottle and so on. Nice little pockets there for your phone. overall it feels pretty special in here. Even though the roof does swoop down a bit at the back, it doesn't seem to affect the headroom. Let's have a look at the X3. So straight away, the BMW feels like it's got lighter doors and they're a bit thinner. This gives you some clue of the interior. I'll just start it up so we can get all the electronics working. Lots of beeps and buzzes when you get into BMWs. It's quite annoying. I don't even know what it's beeping at. But yeah, so this is more of a traditional SUV layout. So very tall windows, thinner pillars, and probably a more perched up and better view outside compared with the sportier F-PACE. Being a little bit older, the BMW doesn't get a touchscreen interface, although BMW has always gone with its iDrive system. It's still a widescreen. You've got plenty of functions in here that you can have a look at, so you can check your engine oil and things like that. See live engine output. It's pretty advanced for what it is. It'll be interesting to see what BMW comes with for the next edition. And then in the instrument cluster, there isn't a fully digital setup. It's got the traditional dials, so the big speedo on the left and the rev tacho on the right. This is what BMW has been using for decades. Fit and finish and quality is pretty good in the X3. There's no hard plastics. This is all sort of a soft, rubbery surface. Leather on the doors, and then wood trimming around the center console, more leather. This has also got a large moonroof as well. But yeah, it definitely feels, jumping straight out of the F-PACE, this feels less cluttered and probably a little bit more practical. It might even suit taller drivers more so than the F-PACE. But like the exterior, the interior design is not really advanced. So you've got basic rectangular buttons and nothing really, no real design flourishes in here. We'll check out the back seat. Even though the X3 is a little bit smaller on the outside in terms of dimensions, the interior is almost identical to the Jaguars. If anything, it feels a bit taller, so you've got those tall windows, and it makes it feel like there's more headroom. It feels less cluttered. This is based on the previous generation 3 Series wagon, so you've got about as much room as a 3 Series in the back here. It doesn't come with USB ports like the Jaguar. It's just got the 12-volt socket, but you do get your own climate vents and heat and cooling controls for the back. Anyway, let's take them for a drive and see how they compare. So like in most Jaguars, you get a few different driving modes, including an eco and snow. You've also got a dynamic mode. These change the engine mapping and throttle response, as well as the gearbox mapping. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, how does that 700 Newton meters of torque feel? It's quite responsive. There is a little bit of turbo lag just off idle, but then after that you get, yeah, a massive wall of torque. And you can use that to your advantage around the corners too, so you can put the boot in around the corners and it just picks up and goes and slingshots you out of the corner. It definitely feels like a nice sports car, so the steering's very responsive, very direct. Body control is also very good. If you've just stepped out of a non-premium SUV and you jump into this, you'd think it's a car. It's not an actual SUV. The handle's that good. You can feel the weight a little bit in the tighter corners, particularly switchbacks going from left to right. The weight of the car sort of catches up with itself. And it sort of, yeah, it tank slaps a little bit just when you bring it to center. But the actual handling and the grip is, yeah, outstanding for an SUV. The four-wheel drive system is also very good, so I can pretty much apply full throttle and get that 700 Newton meters to rip me out of the corners. The F-PACE, all models feature torque vectoring, so you've got braking of the inside wheel happening to try and pivot the car around the corner. There is some blipping of the throttle on the down changes, It's not super aggressive like a petrol vehicle, or even like the petrol supercharged F-PACE, but you know, that's to be expected for a diesel. I don't think anybody's going to be doing sporty driving in their diesel, or much more than this. They're not going to take it to a track, that's for sure. That engine does produce a lot of torque, but it feels like it does seem to run out of puff up in the rev range, or it might be just that overwhelming amount of torque so low down that it tapers off when you get to about 3,000, 3,500. So speaking about this pretty poor road, the ride is pretty firm for a non-performance SUV. I mean, this is the S, so it's the sportiest F-PACE you can get at the moment. There is talk of a V8 version coming along sometime in the next 12 months. But for now, yeah, the S is the sportiest version you can get. But yeah, it is quite firm. I'm guessing the 22-inch alloy wheels don't provide much give there either. So if you've got the R Sport version, which is the variant below this, it comes with smaller wheels. I think they're 20-inch wheels, or even 19 actually, which would be more suitable for regular use. If you want to look good though, yeah, you can't go past this package. So just then it was grabbing that back inside wheel. I could feel the brakes working there to hook the car around the corner. Again, just then. Of course, you can turn the stability control completely off, and then that gets switched off as well. But even then, the all-wheel drive system, the direct power is very good. It uses a full-time all-wheel drive system, not an on-demand system like some of the rivals. So far, the Jaguar is winning in terms of design, the striking exterior design, and even the modern technology. So it is definitely more modern in here, with the fully digital dash. And the handling is very sporty. It does have a firm ride, and that 700 Newton meters does feel, you can feel it immediately, but then it does seem to run out of puff a little bit. I mean, it's still very fast, but it does feel like it runs out of puff a little bit higher up in the rev range, which is probably to be expected for a diesel. So we'll jump into the X3 and see how that compares. Like most modern BMWs, the X3 comes with this driver mode toggle, or the 30D does anyway. So you've got Eco Pro mode, Comfort, Sport, and then Sport Plus. They're very similar to the Jaguar's system, so they change the throttle response and also the gearbox's behaviour. You can actually option for adjustable or adaptive suspension as well, M Sport suspension, to give you another sort of element to adjust. So yeah, BMW introduced the X3 back in 2004. It was the first, as far as I know, it's the first mid-size premium SUV. So it sort of pioneers the segment. And being a BMW, the driving pleasure has to be at the top of the game. So immediately the steering does feel a bit nicer in the X3. It feels a bit lighter, yet there's a bit more communication through the wheel. So whereas the F-PACE, the steering's very solid and precise, the BMW just feels a little bit more playful. Body control is very good. Unlike the Jaguar, which is an S model, this is just the top of the range X3. It's just the xDrive30d. There is no sports model. So in that respect, it's a little bit more comfortable, while also being very sporty because it's a BMW, I guess. But yeah, even though it's down on power and torque, the X3 xDrive30d is actually quicker for 0 to 100 compared with the F-PACE, which is a bit strange, and that's part of that, I think, is due to the 110 kilo weight difference. So the X3 is 110 kilos lighter. Officially, the X3 xDrive30d does 0 to 100 in 5.9 seconds, whereas the F-PACE Jag does it in 6.1. I'll show you what the difference is with the V-Box in a second. I'll just give you a bit of a comparison. But it does feel a little bit quicker. So like the Jag, you've got a full-time four-wheel drive system that directs power to all four wheels and calculates it constantly. It's amazing how you can drive these things like sports cars, even though they're SUVs. Neither engine sounds better than the other, I don't think, in my opinion. This has got a straight six, so you've got a bit more of a smoother note, I guess, but it's very, very faint. Both of them are very quiet for diesels. But I am noticing the power seems to be more progressive in the X3, so it doesn't run out of puff, so to speak, as much as the Jaguar. It doesn't mind sitting in higher RPM as well, for a diesel anyway. You got throttle blipping on the downshifts, just like a sports car. Yeah, it's lots of fun. So I'll just show you the 0 to 100 just in the real world. So I'm just going to use this straight road here. This isn't official timing or anything like that. I just want to give you a bit of an idea between the difference between the two. So I've got the V-Box mounted up here. I like putting it on the sunroof if the car's got one, just so it's easier to hit the satellite. And I've just got the app here that connects straight to the V-Box. So the X3 does come with launch control, although I don't think it does anything in this car. If it was rear-wheel drive, it might sort out wheel spin or something like that, but it doesn't actually, as far as I know, do anything. So just put your foot on the brake. I'll hit start on this actually. Put your foot on the brake, dial up the revs, then release the brake, and the launch control sorts it out, although there's no wheel spin anyway. That's 100. So that just did it in 5.8 seconds. Again, it's not a flat road, it's not really ideal testing conditions, but I'll do it in the Jag and just see the difference between the two in the exact same spot, same day. But yeah, that's pretty good for a non-performance SUV. 5.8 seconds there. Okay, so here we are in the exact same position, same time of the day. I've just literally just got out of the car. I'll put it into dynamic mode, so that's sort of the sportiest setting. And I'll just change I've got this car preloaded into the system, F-PACE30d, yep, hit test. This doesn't come with launch control, but as I said, the X3 launch control isn't really launch control. I can virtually do the same thing here. I'll try it in D first, and then I'll try it in S and see how we go. Just done it in 7.2 seconds, so it's a good second slower than the X3, despite the extra power and torque. As I said, this is not official timing. The road is even slightly uphill, if anything, but it's interesting to see the difference anyway. I'll just try it in S mode for the transmission and we'll see if it's any different. Okay, so here we are again, the same spot. Stability, traction control's off, but I'll put it into S mode for the transmission. Here we go. That's about 100. So again, it's done a 7.2. And that's with the S mode, so it's exactly the same in D and in S, which is what I expected. Normally cars, when you put them into sport modes and things like that, it doesn't really make a difference when you've got your foot flat to the floor. It just makes it a bit more responsive when you're using the rest of the range of the throttle. But when you've got it flat to the floor, it's just giving it everything in whatever mode you've got it in. So there you go. There's over a second between the two in terms of 0 to 100 sprinting anyway. It's just interesting to see the difference, even though this does have a lot more power. I guess it shows just how important weight reduction, how important it really is. I'll be putting together a more comprehensive comparison, written comparison on our website, performancedrive.com.au, in the near future. Thanks for watching.